Hello, Billy Ho here. Welcome to Billy Ho Sports, John Deere Classic 2023 DraftKings DFS show. We're going to cover ownership, pivots, leverage, all that kind of good stuff. Do some lineup building. I believe I got a request from a fella in there, and we're going to do all that today. So, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Appreciate that as always. Join the contest. Link will be in the description. I don't think I put it in the preview video, but I will when I get done with this. So, join the contest. Plenty of spots left. $2 entry. Top two paid. Subscribe, smash likes, leave comments. Enjoy the show, and let's get started. All righty. First things first, happy 4th of July, everybody. I can't believe I just glossed right over that in the intro. But I hope you're having a good day. I hope you have some time to watch this video. If not, check it out tomorrow. Enjoy. I'll be manning the grill later on. So I got a grilling video on some burgers, so you want to check that out. It's pretty good. It's just a simple, easy recipe to make some really great burgers, fast and furious style. So we are looking at weather. We got, looks like Silvis, Illinois, PM thunderstorms Wednesday night. So that might bode well for everybody Thursday, honestly. It could be, especially Thursday AM. You're obviously going to bang out Thursday AM tea time. Whoops. Nice. Thursday AM tea times for your showdown purposes. And we don't know, this weather might move, you know, in the future or back up, Friday, moving to Thursday. Who knows? Anyway, PM storms looks good Thursday, looks good Friday, and then maybe some scattered, smothered, and covered over the weekend. So we can't really predict exactly what's going to happen with 2 days to go, but there appears to be a little bit of hair of a dog of wind Thursday, and then it plummets. So if you want to go, I guess you could definitely go AM PM, just looking at it right off the bat. So anyway, we're going to get to the cheat sheet. That's just a quick weather. Now, this is just a first look on ownership. So we start up top with Denny McCarthy and Russell Henley. I figured those two would both be 20. They're going to split the ownership between everybody. So the first thing you would want to do if you don't want to go that route is don't play either one of them. Then you got Aberg, who disappointed everybody last week. He was going really good, but I mean, the man's he's had 3 tournaments since he turned pro, and he's got two top 25s and a made cut at the Rockets. So he fell off. He ran into some trouble. He had a really, really bad run, I think Saturday, where he made a double and then bogey. So he gave up like 4 strokes in 3 holes, and they were like easier holes. So instead of losing 4, he probably lost 5.5 strokes to the field in just those 3 holes. So I'm willing to forgive that. The guy's got to learn. He's got to have some growing pains and learn some lessons. So anyway, then you got Cameron Young, who's really been struggling. He's going to be the pivot. These 2 guys are going to be the pivots up top. People will play Hadwin. If Hadwin was 10K, he'd probably be lesser owned, but he made a really great run and probably could have, should have, would have, I guess. He had a couple of bad breaks. He hit a bad drive on 18 and wasn't able to go at the flag to try to make birdie to win the golf tournament. But no excuses, because in the playoff hole, both him and Morikawa hit theirs in the fairway, and Ricky's over in the stands, and Ricky's the only one that makes birdies. So, doesn't sometimes being in the fairway ain't all it's cracked up to be. You got to hit that second shot. So anyway, that's a lot of pressure to handle too. Then you got Coley Cole coming in off a week off, I guess. I think he played some sort of charity event or I don't know, some kind of an event last week where he was donating all the proceeds to charity. It was some sort of qualifier event or something. I don't know. But then you got Killer Keith mixed in here, who could pop. I mean, he's been due for a while for a good finish. I mean, he's just been barely kind of chugging along, making cuts. Shank, who's probably going to be the favorite this week in a lot of people's lineups. That 9.2 is low. I think that's going to be well over 12 to 15. These two are going to be these two are backwards in my opinion, because the way Adam Shank played last week, and he's got good finishes here at we'll go over here to the combies and see who's who, and you can look at Shank. Well, he did have that WD last year. I'm not really sure exactly what happened to him last year, but he had back-to-back top tens. So he likes this course. And one of our Discord members, shout out Inside Info, Ryan, Big R Colts fan, one of his in-laws or ex-in-laws, something like that, is an aunt to Adam Shank, I think, or something like that. And they're going to Silvis, Illinois, if Adam makes the cut. So look out for that, because he had that top 10 last week. So he could be getting after it this week. Now, back to the cheat sheet. So if Shank stays 10%, that's a smash play, because I think he'll play really well. My pivot in this area, I'm not so sure about Taylor Moore. Like I told the guys in the Discord, the guy gains 10 strokes putting. And actually, the first day, that first round leader score where he shot like 63 and tied Peter Quest, after that, he didn't really play very well at all. I mean, he just kind of tripped and stumbled his way through the other 3 rounds, and had a top 5 finish. I mean, he wasn't complete crap, but he didn't excel. If he would have excelled on one of those 3 other days, he probably would have won the golf tournament. So Chris Kirk had a good week, and he's a good fit. He's got some good history here. Griot seems to be a favorite. Like, everybody thinks he's just going to come out here and win this again, but he was second last year, and I believe he's got good. Okay, that's weird. I remember looking at this yesterday, and I thought, how has he only played this one time in all these years? But I don't know. Maybe he plays some other, because he's a good fit, obviously, and he just came in 15th. He's got a win earlier in the year, so this is a course he could probably do quite well at. Then you have guys like Jaeger I used last week, and he's actually, I think, $100 cheaper in this field than he was last week. But obviously, after that big finish on Sunday, he's going to be highly owned. Same thing with Sepp, but Sepp Straka let me down big time over the weekend. He was in great position, and then he shot like a 76 on Saturday, and then he shot like a 71 on Sunday. I don't know where that Saturday round come from. I didn't really do a deep dive. Seabez, my man Seabez, made the cut at the Rocket Mortgage, which is a place he probably is not quite the fit for a short knocker. I mean, a guy like him, he hits his irons really well, and he's a good around the green player, but he's definitely distance challenged, so this ought to be a good place for him. He had a second place finish here last year. I actually used him at the Travelers, where I thought he'd be a great fit, and he let me down there. I don't know. I'll have to deep dive into that to see what he did wrong. I was so disappointed because I'm like, oh, just lock in Seabez. If it's a short course, he's making the cut. Even long courses, the guy just knows how to get around the golf course. But Birdie Fest, he can be a bit challenged to do the scoring there. I think Canadian Open of last year, he did get there, but obviously he got second place at John Deere last year, so he can get there. He just doesn't do it that often. Now, Montgomery, he's still kind of struggling. He's had a few weeks off, but he's a long hitter. Rogers, I think Rogers will be in the field. He was still listed as WD, but I think he just took last week off. I think he'll be okay this week. This is a good course for Nick Taylor, even though it seems like it would be a good course for Nick Taylor. Let's put it that way. But he doesn't have very good history here at all. He's got 3 made cuts, but more missed cuts. So I'm not 100% sure on that. But actually, once you get past, I wanted to look more at ownership. Montgomery, I'm not playing at 17%. That just seems fishy to me. Like I said, this ownership is just first look ownership. So you need to kind of take in advance notice that it's going to change Tuesday to Wednesday. When tee times come out, things will change. I think you'll hear a lot of people talk AM, PM with a little bit of wind on Thursday afternoon, and then it plummeting to nothing on Friday. So I think the AM, PM will get talk. So we'll have to see what happens with ownership. and who falls in what bracket. But down here, it's just kind of spread evenly through the mid sevens to eights. I mean, this does seem like the finally the time to pull the trigger on Michael Kim, doesn't it? Uh, I know he finished 38th at the Travelers, but 7,600 is a little expensive. There's some guys that got some price bumps. My man Peter Quest was 6,100 last week, and now that because he finished fourth, he's instantly vaulted to $7,400 in a significantly weaker field. I'm not saying he can't come right back and do it again because he might, but it's probably, I guess, better being 7,400 than 6,700 because 6,700 he'd probably be 15% owned. So maybe the price bump is a good thing after all. But there's not many pivots that I can see in here. I think Svensson might be a good pivot. I feel like his game's kind of coming around. He struggles with the putter, which is, not so great. But he is but he's normally a really great iron player. But him just being about even with the field is not the greatest. So, but Kevin Yu, I'm glad I faded him last week because he missed the cut. You would think he'd be rolling, but I mean, it was just a second tournament back from his knee injury, so it's not like. But Carson Young disrespected again, lock and load. He's not 2.74. That's just ridiculous. There's no way he's 2.74%. He's going to be in everybody's lineups. I mean, he's going to be 15% owned, and 15% down here is like 25% up top. So keep that in mind. It's difficult to gauge ownership when you get through here into these 7K guys. They're all going to be right around 2 to 8% at worst. Joel Damon is really struggling, but this seems like it would be a great course for him. But I don't know that I can get there because he's just been really bad lately. I don't know what's going on with old Joel Damon, but when you got other guys in here that have played quite well, then it's kind of hard to stray from that. But this is just kind of it's really a mix and match. I mean, like Bhatia should be good here. He makes a ton of birdies, and he's probably slightly off people's radars after the missed cut at Rocket, and then you haven't seen him in a few weeks. So this might be a good time to get back on Akshay. Maybe because he's a good, accurate driver of the golf ball. And you'd think he'd be able to feather his way around this golf course with the way he strikes it. And all he needs is that putter. So if Lucas Glover can do it, anybody can do it, right? So he's 7,200, which could be a steal this week because I did hear on Rick Run Good's show that he's using a different, more broomstick putter now. And he gained like 5 strokes putting last week or something like that. The most he's gained in forever. I noticed he shot up the leaderboard on Saturday, so he was lighting it up pretty good. And if he can do that, he's taking the lid off on this golf tournament because he's probably the most talented golfer down here as far as like history and what he's done in his career. So anyway, that's looking like just a mix. Oh, Brendan Todd was another one I'm kind of interested in. He was 56 last week and then missed the cut at Travelers. I don't know what he did because he had a really good round. He shot 65 on Thursday, and then he came back and shot 73. So I think he missed the cut on the number at Travelers, which was weird. So I don't know if the putter fell apart or he just had a mammoth terrible mistake somewhere. But this is a guy who hits every fairway, and he's short off the tee. So he ought to be able to do the round and green and putting thing, and he can dial in the wedges. Wedges this week, by the way. So we're going to finish off. I want to look at my custom model here. And I wanted to actually over here to your left, you're going to see what the model parameters are. To save time, I went ahead and put them up for you. And obviously, Denny's he's been playing the best golf of anybody. But Denny, Hadwin, Griot, Henley, Shank, Ches, Gim, Taylor Moore, Dylan Wu, Carson Young round out the top 10. And those are all guys that are going to be, they're not going under anybody's radar. Smalley always scares me. 8,900 for a guy who can putt himself out of a golf tournament or play really well because he's such a good ball striker, and he'll probably give himself a ton of opportunities. So I'll have to look at him because I did weigh putting pretty good here for the last 24 rounds. So I think that if Smalley's still cracking the top 10, 12, then he's rounding into form a little bit. Of course, Cole's here, but Bez is here, Yeager, Patrick Rogers. Hubbard is still hanging in here, even though he's fell off the last couple of weeks. I believe that's back-to-back missed cuts for Hubbard. Uh, and then you got, let's see, Nick Taylor. I think Nick Taylor might be sneaky this week. Everybody's just kind of forgot since he won the Canadian Open, and maybe he's finally calmed himself down. He missed the cut at the U.S. Open, and then he's just been off for a few weeks. So maybe because that had to have been just your national open. If you remember, Shane Lowry won the Open Championship. He celebrated and Molinari too. Both of those guys celebrated being home country heroes for 2 years. So Nick Taylor winning the Canadian Open, somewhat similar to that, probably. But Nate Dogg Lashley might be interesting down in 72. Palmer has been up and down. There's Michael Kim, obviously. Grayson Sigg, people are talking about. He's kind of a shorter hitter, but he can get it done. Glover, I think, has got a good shot to do some damage this week. He might even win. Matt Kuchar is interesting because Matt Kuchar is currently, I believe, overseas trying to qualify for the U.S. Open. So if he fails to qualify, he's going to be over here tomorrow for this golf tournament. So I don't know what's the deal is, but if he does actually qualify, you'll see the WD. So further down the list, Hadley, that's pushing it, but that guy can flat score when he gets his irons and putter dialed in. He does that little snap with the fingers. He can make a ton of points. There's Brendan Todd. These are guys that are going to be not popping in model guy that I might have interest in. I used to have interest in Adam Long on these shorter courses, but yeah. But that's just kind of what my model looks like. But the last thing I want to leave you with before we go is some build action. So build a bear time. Build a better lineup. Sucker. All right. So look. Lineup number 1. We'll just start up top. Denny's finally due. He's going to win. Now what do? We're down to 7,800. Everybody loves to go in here. We go just chalk donkey style and just take Griot here. And then, but once you go chalk donkey style on these first two, then you got to get different. So what we need to do is probably dip down in here into the 7s and 8s and find somebody. I think maybe just get down here and let's just do Gimmer. This is kind of how I build. And I'll go back through and change things, but it just falls right into place. It's Gim Woo, and then you got down here, maybe we'll take Glover. And then you still got 7,500 to do whatever you want to. And then I don't know if I would spend my last on Quest, but he's got the top 10. Bramlett, so anyway, there's one more spot with 7,500. We'll clear that, and let's try balanced. And we could load up on a balanced lineup, that's for sure. I mean, you immediately can start with Griot, and maybe if you want to go 3, I mean, Cole, it really 9,700 is kind of gross, but the guy's so good and he can putt. I mean, we can go Cole and then maybe take Shank. And then that leaves us with 7,200. So we'd have to dip way down here. And that shouldn't be too difficult. A guy like Ryan Garrard is a pretty solid player. I don't know. I don't think I have the 6,100 Peter Quest this week. Maybe Tano Goya. He's played in a ton of golf tournaments. We haven't seen him in a minute. He's been back on the Corn Ferry, but hasn't fared very well. So maybe not Tano. I looked at Paul Haley. Not so much on the recent form. So it's pretty tough down here. What you could do is just take your shot on Ryan Moore, who just seems to show up here every year, but that's almost not enough savings, is it? But anyway, you get the gist of it. I mean, you could get three guys in here, or you can remove Cole and then get down in here too. I want upside though. I mean, Jaeger bombs. I want guys that can score and hit top. Except Straka can win golf tournaments, things of that nature. So you could actually buck the system and just go like completely load up. I mean, Nick Taylor just recently won, and then you got Gim. So, you got guys down here. That's a full lineup, but who cares? Nobody watches anyway, right? So anyway, that's kind of how you can go either way, and you can absolutely leave money on the table. One of my better weeks here recently is when I set my model on Rick Run Goods to cut it off at like 49,500. So I was automatically, even if I used all my salary, leaving 500 on the table. But a lot of those lineups left 800, 700, that in that range. And that's usually a good thing, because with these types of tournaments, using the entire salary doesn't always work out. Just ask everybody last week when they used up their almost all their salary on guys like Finau and Tom Kim that missed the cut. So just keep that in mind. Have a safe holiday. Enjoy the day. Drink a few beers, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.